Hello, my name is Sharon Lamb. I've lived in Palm Harbor since 1975, and I've been a member of the Palm Harbor Historical Society and the museum since they began. And the museum's oral history program began with a grant in 2012 to create videos of residents who live or work in Palm Harbor to tell their stories. More than 40 videos have been filmed so far. Today I'm interviewing Gene Coppola, Library Director of the beautiful Palm Harbor Library. Under Gene's direction, we have seen this facility grow and expand and add many new programs and services. Gene, what brought you to Palm Harbor 20 years ago?
Well, if you lived in New York at the time, you would know why. I mean, I'm a New Yorker, I love New York and whatever, but it was at a time when it was, Times Square was horrible. This was before Disney came on board. We had a horrible mayor, there was scandals, it was dirty, it was expensive. And actually, I wanted a place to have a chance to live and work, and I wanted to get a house. And at my job that I had there, I was working in Brooklyn Public Library at the time, and the only way that you were able to move up is if you worked there for about 30 years. I was in a rush. I didn't want to wait that long. And my father and my grandfather always wanted to come down to Florida, get away from all that snow and ice and all that nonsense. And for various reasons, they never really were able to make it down here. And I said, I'm going to break that chain. I'm going to come down here. So what brought me down to Florida was somewhat of a hatred of New York's weather and crime at the time, and looking for sunshine and a possibility of a new beginning and professional growth, because there was no way I was going to be able to move ahead in Brooklyn, but down here I have great opportunities, so that's more the reason why I came down.
So you started here as library director.
Well, when I first came down here, actually I interviewed for a job in Manatee County. They paid for me to fly down here, but I made it a twofer because there was also an opportunity for a branch manager up in Pasco. So I flew on Manatee's ticket, drove up to Pasco also and interviewed for that job, and that's the job I got. So when I came down here, I was a branch manager at Land O'Lakes, and then I started being like the regional director on the east side of Pasco County, and then I was able to finally become a library director, which it really has been really wonderful over all these years.
Yeah, I'm sure. So coming into Palm Harbor in those first days, what were your impressions of this area? It was very, a lot calmer then, right?
Yeah, I would say so. You know, coming from New York and even in Pasco, the word diversity comes to mind. I mean, there's everything. Yeah, I mean everything. Here in Palm Harbor, it's been and it has continued to be for the most part quiet, calm, no riots. People are nice. It's a lot different, and it took a bit of an adjustment. I had to learn to take it easy a little bit, because in New York and in Pasco, I had a lot to do. I was always on the move. Palm Harbor is just a really wonderful town. It really, really is, and I've been so blessed to find a place like this. But it's been sort of my kind of zen working over here, so it's been great.
Good, yeah. But was it kind of a cultural shock? Because in New York you got everything.
Well, I'll tell you, I actually, when I first moved down here, I lived in Newport Richie. That was a culture shock. I said, you've got to be kidding me. It would just drive me crazy the first couple of years I was living here, and I said, I got to move to a place where there's a little bit more to offer. So then I moved to Tampa, so I got my cultural needs fulfilled. But in Palm Harbor, there is a lot going on in here too. There is. Yeah. And so it soothed my cultural shock to a certain extent. But I guess I was so involved in being a director for the first time, and now knowing that I have to be the grown-up in the room, it took not that much for me to be acclimated to this area. It was very welcoming, very, very welcoming, and still is today.
Yes.
But it really wasn't that much of a culture shock. No, Newport Richie, yes.
Yes.
Not Palm Harbor, no.
See that. And Palm Harbor Harbor is an unincorporated area. So how do you even now see that as different from all the surrounding towns?
I've had the opportunities to work in Brooklyn, like I said, which was a city. I worked in Pasco, which was a county library system. And here in unincorporated, I've had tremendous amounts of liberties, freedom to do things I would not have been able to do elsewhere. And I think it's because at the risk of being immodest, I think it was really a perfect match for me. Because I think if I had continued to work for a city library or county library, I wouldn't have been able to do the things that I want to do.
Right.
But in this kind of position, you need to have somebody who's also responsible minded and ethically minded, because since you don't have as many constraints or watchdogs or whatever over you, it could go, it couldn't go well. But here, I've had the freedom, I've had the support to do the things I wouldn't have been able to do elsewhere. And with the chamber and other community groups and so forth, collaboratively, we've been able to do a lot here.
Yes.
And one of my favorite phrases I tell staff is that when they come in, I am the red tape, which is great. Instead of going through 8 levels of bureaucracy, if it makes sense and we have the money and it's supporting and it's going to help the community, let's do it. It's a simple formula. So yeah, it's been great working in an unincorporated community.
And I think that's true in other organizations here as well.
Absolutely.
Not having to go through all that.
That's right.
Do you remember what you did on your very first day in Palm Harbor?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. The very first day I was here, I went to the Chamber of Commerce.
Good.
Because I knew that that was an extremely important part of this community. At that time, and I think to still an extent today, the Chamber was the main organization in this community.
Yeah.
A lot of it went through, a lot of community groups went through it and so forth. So that's when I met Connie, former president and CEO of the Chamber. And she was delightful.
Yes.
She just very warm, welcoming, and she was just so happy that we walked into the office and we talked for a while. And yeah, that my first day was to go to the Chamber, because I thought that was the most important place I had to go to on my first day, and the rest is history.
Right. And you actually served as the Chamber's chairman of the board?
I did.
And went through that succession of positions.
Yes. I remember I had a couple of complaints the first couple of years from my early advisory council boards, because they said that, I remember one board member told me one time that, Gene, you seem to spend more time in the Chamber than you do in the library. I said, but it's good. It's good to network in the community, which it was all about.
Right.
But I did have the honor, and I mean that profoundly, I had the honor to be the chairman of the board in 2005 of the Chamber of Commerce. And I think, I could be wrong, but I believe I may be the only librarian in the state of Florida that can make that claim. So that makes me feel really, really good. And it wouldn't have been able to happen unless I had the support of the Chamber and the community. So yeah, I'm very, very proud of that.
Right. Let's talk a little more about the Chamber's position in the community.
Sure.
They are the only real official organization other than the county. Everything else we have is from the county.
Yeah, agreed.
So how do you feel about that situation?
The Chamber has been extremely helpful. I know it was, has and continues to be extremely helpful of all community groups in here. They are the one, other than my own governmental agency, Palm Harbor Community Services Agency, which is under the auspices of the county. The Chamber is the only other formal recognized organization in Palm Harbor that serves, or I should say, the greater Palm Harbor area,
Right.
which serves Palm Harbor and Eastlake, which is approximately 90,000 people. They're the only organization that really reaches out to just about everybody. So they are a formidable organization. They've been around for a long, long time.
Yes.
I haven't been we're still a member, we'll always be a member. I haven't been as involved recently because over the past few years I've been dedicating more of my time on statewide issues with the library, state library and so forth. However, the Chamber has been and continues to be one of the cornerstones of the whole greater Palm Harbor area, without question at all.
Yes. And we are doing this interview for the museum. It's a history. So how have you seen Palm Harbor change since you came here 20 years ago?
Correct.
What have you observed A lot,
A
I'm
lot,
sure.
a lot, and a lot hasn't changed. I remember, you know, we're on the corner of 19 and Nebraska, where there's a Verizon store there. When I first came here, that was a Shoney's. I remember that very, very
Yes.
clearly. And that billboard that says Carrie Leisure Lawyers, that's been there for 20 years. They've changed it. They've had the same billboard location all these years.
Yes.
Because that's the way I come every day on Tampa Road. There's been some new developments. There's been some new housing. I've seen that. But I think what strikes me more than anything else is not so much how much has changed, but how much hasn't, from my point of view. I've seen improvements as opposed to changes. I've seen the Historical Museum itself gone through a couple of things.
Yeah.
I think when I first got here, it was the Palm Harbor Historical Museum. And then I think the county made it the North Pinellas Historical
was.
Museum, which doesn't make any sense to me at all. And so I'm glad it's the Palm Harbor Historical Museum.
Right.
And the Chamber's always been, they've been a mainstay here. I've seen the changes in downtown Palm Harbor, along Florida Avenue.
Yes.
All the streets changes over there. They wanted to try to make it more like a downtown Main Street, like something like Safety Harbor's doing, Dunedin's doing. I think to some success. I remember all the merchants are meeting there all the time.
Right.
Now the CSA Palm Harbor now is in charge of the Dwight Church,
Whitechapel.
the Whitechapel, excuse me, and Harbor Hall.
Yes.
I remember a lot of times that was involved with the Chamber's art festival, and that's gone through a lot of different variations over the years. And I'm sorry to see that's no longer around. I was involved with that for 3 times, and I really enjoyed that. And I love art. I truly love art.
Yeah.
Working with artists, though, it's a completely it's a complete. They see the world totally different. But I miss that. I miss that. I remember what's the Irish pub now? That's Peggy O'Neill's.
It was Peggy O'Neill's.
Right. What is it now? Not sure, but I remember when I first came
Another
down.
restaurant. Yeah.
That was a classy restaurant, which was a bank, and the tellers' windows were still there where the bar was. It was a real upscale restaurant. I love that place.
Yes.
Now it's a shame that they finally went to just a regular Irish pub, but that was really, really nice.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was then.
It was named Eric's or something.
Eric was the owner.
Right.
Well.
But it was. It was.
It was very nice.
Oh,
And they
it
still
was.
had all the bank set up. And
Yes, I thought that was very cool.
It was.
I've seen some growth in here, but I haven't seen as much change. And I guess maybe that's the reason I like Palm Harbor so much is because there is an expectation that hasn't really changed that much, and I really like that. From a library's perspective, I've seen more younger families moving in.
Yeah, I think so.
We're seeing a little bit more ethnic groups coming in. Not much, maybe a few Spanish people. Not much though. It's almost been consistent for a long time. 19 is still horrible. That's never going to change.
Right.
And I'll tell you let me tell you the other place I went to the first day that I was here. My old secretary Betty Zalinka, she was here for 1,000 years. So when I went to the chamber, and then she told me, she said, so what are you gonna do for lunch? I had no idea. She said, well, I'm gonna take you to the best spot in town. And that best spot in town is still around. It's alternate 19, it's what's the one, I'm down on Orange Street. Molly Goodhead. That's where I went for my first lunch, and I said, this is very cool, yeah. That was a part of Palm Harbor I didn't know existed at the time, and I love that place. Yeah, and that's still there.
It's still there.
Yeah.
One of the owners now owns and runs the Thirsty Marlin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I love Molly's. Yeah. I've been there a while. I really like that.
Yeah.
And Strahan's Ice Cream was there at the time.
Yeah.
And both owners have passed on.
That's true, but the children, I guess, still have the locations in Dunedin.
Yeah.
I don't think that, is there still one up here? I don't.
It should be down there. Yeah, it's still down there.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
down at Tampa Road?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, it's still there.
Let me tell you something, they still have to offer the best carrot cake in the world. You can't get a better carrot cake than that place, that's all I know.
Yeah.
But I've seen some new restaurants come and go.
Lots of coming and going of restaurants.
But for the most part, I haven't seen as much changes as I've seen improvements in what's been going around here. And that gives me a sense of stability. I like consistency to a certain extent, and I think what's pained me, if anything at all, is many of the people that I've worked with in the past either have retired and have passed on or have moved out of the area and so forth. That's the reason why I love the Chamber Foundation, because I can stay in touch with so many good people. And,
we've all been around a while.
Yes, we have. Well, and I don't like to use the word old. I'll tell you right now. This, and Elizabeth knows this. The word that I use, we're evolving. We're constantly evolving to something bigger and better, right? Right. So that's what I go with. So.
Yeah.
It's been good. It really has been good.
And speaking of evolving, let's talk about the library itself. I know you've had some building programs, a lot of expansion, many new programs, right?
Yes, we have. Matter of fact, over the years, when I first got here, this was and it still is, a 26,000 square foot rectangular facility. That was it. It was in this fatigue army color, and the front part of the parking lot was a retention pond, and there was no drive-through. And there was the landscaping was disgusting.
Minimal.
Minimal. Okay, we'll go with minimal. All right, minimal. It was completely different. Over the years, we've been able to fill up the retention pond and repave the entire parking lot and increase parking out to 142 spaces. We have a drive-through that goes around now. You can drop off materials. We've painted and upgraded all the furniture and other kinds of equipment. Matter of fact, an upcoming project we're going to have is, it's one of those things about having lemons and making it into lemonade. Well, with the COVID-19, we were forced into, like a lot of organizations, to look at what we were doing and see how we can improve upon it, what kind of changes to make. One of the things we were forced to do was to offer curbside pickup. And that's proven to be extremely successful. So I was thinking that we should continue the curbside pickup after the COVID.
Yes.
We're taking it one step further. At the end of this month, October 30th, that's the planned date, we are going to provide, I would say probably more conservatively, maybe the first or second week in November, we're going to start offering drive-through service. Where we have the drive-through, we're going to have a window right back over there, and you don't even have to come into the library. You'll be able to get stuff like that. That's the future. Yeah, that drive-through service. We've upgraded our landscaping. We've did a lot. We have 3 reading gardens where you can sit outside now to enjoy. We've expanded our Wi-Fi so you can be anywhere that you want. We are now initiating a brand new writing program that's going to be funded through a private family for fledgling writers in the community.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we had a volunteer here called Madeline Oliveri, and she was a newspaper lady, and she passed on, and their daughters wanted to do something. So I said, well, maybe we should create a writing program. I've been wanting to do that for some time. We've gotten a lot of donations, so we're going to be offering a lot of new programs with that. But some of the other services we've offered over the years and still offer today is we have a musical instrument collection where you can come in and borrow any kind of instruments that you want, just with a library card, except for wind instruments, obviously, because it's a library. But I don't like to pull my weight as a director. That's just not me. But when we came to the musical instrument collection, I pulled my weight. I said, look, I'm an aficionado of Saturday Night Live, and we're going to have a cowbell. So we have a cowbell if you want to borrow. So we've got that. We also have, we're the only library that offers vinyl. You want to come in? You want to borrow some vinyl? We got it here for you. We also offer STEAM kits. So it's like the STEM kits. With science and so forth, but we wanted to add the arts to it also.
Good.
We do that. We have a makerspace program just for kids, so they can enjoy. Parents are not allowed in there; they have to stay out. Only kids are allowed to go in there to create the art that they want to do.
Very nice.
We also offer one of the things I'm really proud about that we offer is these adaptable toy kits. These are toys that go for maybe about 50, $100 each, maybe more. They're for mentally delayed or disabled individuals.
Mhm.
And these toys are not merely toys, but they're very therapeutic. They're rehabilitative. And a lot of parents can't afford these toys. And the toys are really not maybe not the best word to use. We've collected like about maybe 50 of them, something
Wow.
like that. All you need is a library card.
Mhm.
And we've had a couple of people use them, and it's been a wonderful program knowing that we can really provide that kind of support for people like
Right.
that. We have a seed library where we use the old library card catalogs, and we have a lot of seed packets. You can take seeds and just grow in your own garden.
Really?
Absolutely. Literacy council. We have genealogy here. We have also for
Wow.
teens. We have the gaming center,
Mhm.
which is it's a way to get the teens in here and young adults. They're our future voters. We want to make sure they're happy.
Right.
And a lot of what I just told you is from private dollars. See, the monies that we get from the county, the ad valorem dollars that you pay for,
Right.
that is primarily operational. We have no money for capital. The
Mhm.
county, after nearly 42 years, finally decided, yeah, I guess this is our building, we need to take care of it.
Mhm.
So starting this year, they're starting to take care of the outside of the building. But for all these years,
Great. Yeah.
through the operational dollars only and private dollars, we've had to take care of everything. Capital projects, you name it, the
Wow.
ACs, roof replacement, all that stuff. So it's a matter of balancing a lot of balls in the air, but people
Mhm.
think that the county takes care of us.
Mhm.
No, this year they're starting to with a new agreement. So we have a lot of those services that we offer
Right.
with the gaming center and so forth. We have a great teen room.
The teen room. Huh?
Oh yeah, and the teens love that. And it was the chamber
Yes.
that supports the teen room.
Mhm.
Talk about collaboration.
Right.
So yeah, that's some of the things we've been offering and still offer today.
Mhm. That's good. Okay, let's go back and talk about your childhood in New York. I guess you lived in New York all your life until you came to Florida.
That is correct.
So what was it like growing up in New York
Oh, it was
as a
great.
child?
Oh, it was great. I loved it. I think I had a great childhood. I really did. I was
That's
born in
great.
the New York Hospital on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, and I grew up in Queens. Now, growing up in Queens was tough because I was a Yankee fan, and that was Mets country. So I was like the black sheep of the family. So that was really tough. But it was not a big deal to get on the city buses to go to school or get on the IRT 7 line to go into Manhattan. It was a great childhood growing up in Queens. It really was. I did the Catholic trifecta, like going to St. Louis, all Catholic elementary and high school and college, the whole thing. But it was, I grew up in a Irish, Italian, working class neighborhood, middle class working, blue collar neighborhood. And it was a really wonderful childhood. I was exposed to the world. I had everything at my fingertips.
Yes.
There was no farmland. I'll tell you one thing I found different when I came down here to Florida. I could see the stars in the sky. I could never see them in New York. When I came down, I said, "Oh my God, you can see forever." Up there, no, it was like it was all clouded or smog or whatever it was.
Too many lights.
Oh, too many lights. Yeah, the
Yeah.
whole 9 yards. And it was cold up there too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you something. You can have 0 degrees or below a minus, and if there's no wind, it's beautiful.
Right.
You get that wind. I mean, it's like that's the only time I grew a beard when I was down there because it kept my face nice and warm.
Mhm.
But, you know, if I look too much like Che Guevara side to side, not to do it. So I shaved.
Yeah.
But it was a great neighborhood because it wasn't just Queens. I had access to the New York City.
Sure.
I had the whole world right there.
Yeah.
And I went to a college up in not upstate New York, but the county up in Westchester County, and that really expanded my horizons of the whole area. It just it gave me a world view that I don't know if I could have gotten
Right.
in a lesser type of area.
Exactly.
But I mean, I met Elizabeth, assistant director. She's from Baltimore, so she gets the whole idea of living city life.
Right.
It's a different world. It's a great world. Yeah.
Mhm.
Just to think that I can get on the IRT subway, and in a half hour I can be at the Met.
I know.
I mean, that was great.
Yes.
And in Yankee Stadium, and
Mhm.
I mean, the whole world was right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great. It really was
Yeah.
great.
Did you have a lot of family in the area?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was just before the time when families started splitting up.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my family was within maybe about 15-minute ride from where I was. They
That's
lived across
great.
the street.
Yeah.
The ones that lived further away were in Jersey, because
Mhm.
that started to be a mecca where people were going to Jersey.
Oh.
That was about a 45-minute ride.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we were all really close, and now unfortunately we're like all over the country like a lot of
Right.
other people. So.
Yeah. What were your first jobs? What did you do right out of college?
Well, when I graduated from college, from Iona College, I graduated with what my father called 2 taxi cab driving majors. English literature and archaeology and anthropology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was qualified to do absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So, and this is a true story. So I ended up, my first gig was working as the group manager in Gimbel's department store on the Upper East Side of Manhattan of the little girls, little boys department. And this is bizarre too, because here's a 22-year-old kid who's a group manager, supposed to supervise a group of women who've been there like forever and knew that place inside out. So let's say my tenure there didn't last too long. I was there for like about 3 months or so.
Oh.
Then I got into banking. I worked on
yeah.
the Williamsburg Savings Bank in Wall Street. So that was great. So
Yeah.
I had a good time. And
Great experience.
yeah, especially getting on the trains. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I can't even get to tell you what I saw on the trains, let alone the passageways leading in front and to and from the trains.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was wild. And then I worked. I became. At that time. Then I got tired of living in New York City because it was really filthy. I mean, even Times Square with all the porno shops. And no, it's nothing like the way it is today. Back then it was horrible. The streets were dirty. You had a large police presence over there at the time. It was not a good place to go to. Pickpockets and all kinds of stuff. So I wanted to get out and see if the world offered anything more. So my wife and I, we went upstate and lived in Ithaca, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nice. I lived there for 4 years. Snow was horrible, but what are you gonna do? But I had a Volkswagen at the time, so with a bag of kitty litter, I never got stuck. It was great because the engine in the back always pushed that car. Never got stuck.
Right.
Never got stuck. It was nice, but I was getting too far away from family, so I got a job as at the time I was doing inside sales for an electronic company. Again, see, I was qualified to do nothing at all because I did not know what I wanted to do. So I decided I had to get away from the snow. So I got another job on Long Island that was similar to what I was doing in upstate New York.
Mm-hmm.
At the ripe old age of 29, this is true, Sharon. At the ripe old age of 29, I said, I got to figure out what I really want to do with my life because I was miserable in sales. I mean, I was doing good. I was making good money. I wasn't happy.
Right.
I felt that I wanted to do more with my life.
Yes.
And so one night, when I came home from a really miserable day, it was just a horrible situation. But I got in the old days we used paper and pen. So so I wrote down. I had 2 columns. On one side, I wrote down, and this is a true story. What do I want to be? And what do I don't want to be? And where do I want to go? Where do I don't want to go? What makes me happy? What doesn't make me happy? And I wrote down all these questions and tried to compare the answers.
Right.
And the common denominator for me was either become a teacher or a librarian.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2 kids at the time. That was enough, so I didn't want to become a teacher. So I said, maybe it's a librarian. I said, I like literature and stuff like that. So I spoke to a buddy of mine, and he got me a gig at Brooklyn Public Library downtown Brooklyn. And they put me on a scholarship program. So for the next 10 years, or for the next 2 or 3 years, I worked all day, and I went to St. John's University at night, and I got home at 12 o'clock and started doing my homework, and sometimes I wouldn't go to bed until 1 o'clock and start all over again about 6 a.m. So I did that for about 2 years, but I got my degree, my master's degree, and
in
library science, right?
Yeah.
And then they started moving me around. Then after 10 years, I said, I got to get out of here because, like I said in the beginning, I wanted to grow in my profession, but it was going to take a long time for me to grow, and it was very expensive to live in New York.
Yes, I'm sure.
So that's where we come to the beginning of the story that I told you. So that was my work odyssey until I'm here today.
Yeah.
It's been a long journey.
That's amazing, yes.
It's a long journey.
It is.
And someday, if you want, as an addendum, I can tell you some of the highs and lows of working for the Brooklyn Public Library. There were some good things, and there were some really bad things.
Right.
I worked in some neighborhoods. I'm surprised I'm still alive today. Let's put it that
Wow.
way. Yeah, yeah.
But
there
you
was-
learned a lot.
Yeah, I had to protect myself. Yeah,
Right.
there were some rough nights. Let me tell you. It's. I'll tell you one. I worked on one area where I was the only Caucasian. Let's put it that way.
Mhm.
And I came out. I was the manager at the time, branch manager, and I closed the building. And I came out, and there was a bunch of teenagers out there. There was like about 10 of them surrounding my car, and it was just me and nobody else.
Oh. I would have gone back in.
Well, and a couple of kids I remember saying to, "Oh yeah, there's the library man. There's the library man." I said, "Oh my God, what's going to happen now?" But nothing happened that night.
Oh, good.
Thank God. But I remember a couple weeks later on, in Brooklyn, you weren't able to open up the branch unless the security guard was there.
Oh, wow.
That was one thing that shocked me when I first came down here. When I came to this library, I said,
Mhm.
"So where's the security guard?" I said, "We don't have a security guard." "Oh, okay." But there, you had to have a security guard. And I remember
Wow.
one day, when I came into work, the security guard was ill. So we were on our own. These bunch of kids came running into the building. And they had, they had toilet paper, they're thrown all over the place.
Oh, no.
They had shaving cream spraying the shelves and all the books, running around.
Yikes.
I just sat back and just watched the show because there's nothing I can do
What are you
about
gonna
it.
do?
Yes, that's right. So,
Yeah.
but there were some good neighborhoods. I worked in a very heavy Hasidic community,
Mhm.
a couple of Hispanic communities, African American communities, and that was the one good thing about it. I got exposed to a lot of cultures
Yes.
and literature, and it was very helpful for me from that point of view.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure you learned a lot. Learned how to deal with people.
Very much so.
Mhm.
All kinds of people,
Right.
all kinds of ages, and I think that really, really helped me. I like to think to be a better manager today,
Yes.
because you can't treat everybody the same way. Everybody's different,
Right.
and it taught me a lot of patience and taught me what's important, what's not important,
Mhm.
and I think it was good for me. So then I was able to apply those skills when I came here.
Right. That's great.
At least I hope so, anyway.
So what do you see as the future here? What would you like to accomplish here in that time?
Well, what I like to see happen, I don't think it's going to happen in the time I have remaining here. I'll be here for a few more years, but I put in a couple of times already for the county for penny projects.
Mhm.
This building should be expanded, and I put in, it's a $10 million project to expand this facility by 13,000 square feet.
Wow. Now you can't build up,
No,
right?
it would be attached to the building,
Mhm.
and the attachment would have a second floor. The idea,
okay.
the idea being is the top floor would be all non-public,
Mhm.
all staff rooms and
Yes.
cataloging and stuff like that, and then we can open up the entire bottom just to
Right,
public. So I
right.
have more areas that people can have study rooms and more places to use and so
Mhm.
forth. And we have the blueprints. I mean, we've got the plans, we've got the
Right.
space, just need the money. And where the $10 million comes in is an estimated amount of what it would be in 2020 dollars. So
Mhm.
this was figured out several years ago. I put in a request, and they've included in the penny cycle for
Mhm.
2030, which means it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
When they put things on the back end, that means it's not going to
Right.
happen.
10 years out.
That's correct. But I can see that happening, and because of that, I see this library, and I think we're in the process of doing this, to be more of a community center
Mhm.
in many, many ways. I think we need to fill in more voids that are occurring in our community. For example, when the schools cut back in the art and music program,
Yes.
we started lifting it up over here. We started providing those kind of services.
Mhm.
I think we need to be more of a mecca of a cultural mecca. I think we're trying to do a lot to promote the visual and the performing arts. I think we
That's
need
great.
to do more with the incoming young families that are coming in here. But I think we also need to do more outreach, and that's one of the reasons why we finally were able to purchase a library vehicle, so we can start doing more outreach.
Mhm.
So I can see us doing more of that, but I can see us Someday maybe being the destination for culture, activity, research. I think we do a good job now,
I do too.
and thank you for saying that, but I don't think we should sit on our laurels. I think there's always more room for improvement. Case in point, the writing program, which we're
Yes.
looking at doing, which I think is gonna be really
It's
great.
a great idea.
Yeah, we're gonna do.
Was that just for kids or is
No,
it
no, no, no.
adults?
Actually, it's it was primarily thought of for adults and maybe teens. I wanted children in there, because I think
Mhm.
it's equally important for them. We're gonna be providing a software program, lecturers, all kinds of different types of services that will support fledgling writers. But we're gonna be focusing on two different types of writers. We're gonna be providing services for the writer that wants to be published, and for the writer who just wants to write memoirs for their family.
Right.
Because they're two different types
Yeah.
of writers. So we are looking at doing that, and we're hoping to get this in place sometime maybe within the next month or so, something
Wow.
like that. I'll tell you one thing that's coming up, which is very, very cool. We're in partnership with Spacecraft. This is a group that works under Creative Pinellas, which is a county group of, it's a county arts group. And what Spacecraft has done is they purchased two large shipping containers,
Mhm.
and they have redecorated it. One has a reading theme, and one of them has an activities type of theme,
Mhm.
art theme. And they're 40 feet long. They open up, so you have all kinds of indoor activities.
Wow.
We're gonna have it here. I think it's gonna be maybe the first week in November.
Mhm.
It's gonna be in the northwest corner of the parking lot.
Mhm.
It's gonna be for the public to use, and we'll be here for about a couple months. We'll be the first library to have that.
That's wonderful.
You know-
Wow.
And you know what's gonna cost us? Nada, nothing.
Wow.
And the other thing we recently got, which I'm really proud about, is that if you have an electric vehicle, we have now 2 spots right outside the back here. If you want to come in with your electric car, doesn't cost you anything at all.
Really?
That's correct. It's right out there in the back there. We got 2 spaces. You're all set to go. A lot of times when I come in here at work, like about 7:30 in the morning, I'll see a car parked out there
Mhm.
overnight getting, plugged up there.
Getting all charged up.
There you go. Absolutely. So there's always room for more
Right.
services, yeah.
Right. Well, that's amazing, and I can tell you still have a lot of plans for things to happen.
Well, I hate being bored. I want to do I want to do something that's and staff will tell you that sometimes I drive them crazy. But I'm saying, how about this? Why don't we try that? Why don't we try that? Or staff will come to me with their ideas and say, absolutely, let's try
Right.
that. I mean, when my staff member said to a former staff member said, could we have an aquarium? I said, will you take care of it? He says, yes. I said, fine. So we have the aquarium over there. And when it's working, we're streamlining it live on our website.
Right.
I have it on all the time because it helps me zen out. And I was told recently by Pets, I think PetSmart around the corner, or Pet
Mhm.
Supermarket, that they were very happy with the library, because when people came in here and saw the aquarium,
Oh.
they went over and bought 3 aquariums for themselves.
That's
I think we should
great.
get a commission on
I
that
think
deal,
you
you know?
should. You
Right?
should sign up with
Yeah,
it.
exactly,
Right.
exactly. So yeah, you can never rest. I think whatever you do, you need to build on, expand, and whatever, improve and so forth,
Mhm.
and be open to new ideas. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, that's great. Terry wanted me to ask you are there any notable people that you have met, either in New York or here, or someone you'd like to mention?
Oh, I haven't really, the only notable people I've met are people like yourself, people that have made an impact on my life,
Mhm.
not in the celebrity type of vein. The people that I find notable in my life are the ones that have taught me something that I've learned from and so forth. So,
Mhm.
and there's been a lot of them.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. Right, a lot of changes in your life.
I think so, yeah.
If you had to sum up what you would like your legacy to be from your time here, have you given any thought to what that would be?
It's the same thought I have every day when I go home from work. I like to know that I, or at least through my influence or through my assistance or through my encouragement, I've been able to impact somebody's life in a positive way. Whether you're a child, a teen, or adult, to know that maybe when I have left this life, that maybe somebody else's life is better from the
Yes.
things we've done here at the library. I think people underestimate what we do as a library.
Mhm.
They just see us maybe as a row of dusty old books.
Okay.
But we're more than that.
You're so much more than that.
We like to enrich people's lives, to make them
Mhm.
feel better about themselves, and make them more knowledgeable. But if I feel that if I could have made some impact on somebody's life, my staffs, volunteers, the community, then I know that
Mhm.
my life was well spent here.
Yes, I agree. All right, well, is there anything we haven't touched on that you would like to tell us about?
No, I just hope the Yankees win in 2021, that's about it. They didn't do so well this year, but maybe next year we'll.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, not the Mets, okay?
Okay,
Let's
no.
get that straight, okay?
Okay.
But that's about it. But I appreciate you talking with me today, Sharon.
Oh, my pleasure, and I guess that's it.
Okay, thank you.